This is a true story. They say the scariest things happen in the dark. Well, in this case, let's just say they happen where the sun doesn't shine. Like a stinky brown cave full of fecal matter. Yes, my ass. I usually end up with shit on my balls. Anyways, where's this going? Okay, the year is 1981. My name is Jimothy and I live in a small village known as Murderville. A tight-knit community that doesn't believe in wiping their asses. But I seen the benefits of it, so I felt special. Wasn't good at it, but I tried. I was the black sheep of my village, and my community didn't take too kindly to that. They thought I was out of my mind. They used to call me names like Clean Ass, Shiny Cheeks, or Butt Boy. The village people were convinced that keeping your butthole dirty warded off the evil spirits of Murderville. The town had old tales they would tell their children at night to make sure they behave and keep their asses shitty. One of the tales was of an evil, malevolent creature that would do harm to those and all those they loved, who opposed the lifelong tradition of keeping your ass cheeks stinky. They called that creature the Ass Goblin. He would, metaphorically speaking, and literally would eat your ass from the back until you were nothing but a pair of shoes, which he would then add to his sick collection. One night I was doing what I normally do before bedtime, whacked off and wiped my ass. But what happens next would change my life forever. As I was getting all warm and cozy, I could sense a dark, lingering feeling that dreaded upon me, as if the devil was around waiting for me to sleep. I tried my best to ignore this feeling and eventually fell asleep. Then at 3 a.m., I suddenly awoke with the feeling of a blown-out asshole. I was left with a gaper. You could smell the stank from a mile away. I knew something was wrong. A part of me was worried for the worst, but I tried to convince myself it was the Ass Goblin. I was still skeptical and kept myself in denial that it was just a brutal ass-smashing fart. I then put on ointment and bandaged it up. The next morning I could feel my stomach twisting and turning and making sounds. I swear it sounded like a little person's laughter coming from my anus. I denied it. There's got to be another explanation, I thought to myself. I then went to work as I usually do. During my shift, I was delighted to help out old Mrs. Titchanglo. I wanted to smash that old geezer. I was known in my village as the Cookum Crippler, because I was fond of old ladies. But as she came towards me to pay for the flowers she picked out, her titty popped out, and I couldn't hold it in anymore and asked, "Would you want to come over to my shack tonight, and I'll push your diaper to the side, baby girl, if you know what I mean?" She blushed and told me, "I'll be sure to change my diaper and remove my false teeth before I head over, you stud." I then popped a boner. Later that night, I waited for my gray-haired vixen, ready to rearrange her guts with my mangina. Then, a knock. You wouldn't believe what Grandma was wearing. A Victoria's Secret diaper with fishnet stockings and a belly shirt that showed her boobs hanging past her kneecaps. What a bad granny, I thought. Then as we laid in my bedding before I got the chance to push that granny diaper to the side, she noticed I had a relatively clean ass. She looked terrified as if she'd seen a ghost. She then asked me, "How did it get so big?" talking about my gaper. I then exclaimed, "Just by taking back-breaking farts, baby girl. Don't mind down there." She was still obviously shook and asked if she can go and take a dump first outside in my slop pail. I hesitantly said, "Yes, it's just out back." 20 minutes have passed and I grew worried she left. I missed my bad granny. So I put on my coat and went to see what was stalling my old lover. I was shocked to see that she was missing and all that was left was a pile of blood in her shoes. I was overwhelmed with fear and cried, knowing no one would believe me that it must have been the ass goblin. I then went to hide her shoes, but was in disbelief when I looked back at them to see they were missing. The next morning I went back to work as if nothing had happened the night before. Then Mr. Titchanglo's husband came into the store, looking worried and mad. I think he knew she was a dirty old lady, and that I fancied the more mature ladies. He had nothing in hand and came storming up to me. "I know you fucked my old lady, but I just want her to come back home. Can you tell her I miss her and please leave her alone? I swear if you hurt her I will scream and tell the whole town." He then stormed off. Oh fuck, what do I do now? After work I went to my parents' house and asked them if I can stay the night. There's no way I can sleep alone after what happened to poor old Miss Titchanglo. My dad said yes, and my mom said only on one condition. "Stop fucking your grandmother's friends." I smirked and said, "We'll tell them to stop wearing Victoria's Secret diapers and bending over in front of me." She smacked me. I chuckled. This night I was sure nothing was going to happen, but oh boy was I wrong. At around 3 a.m. I woke up to the smell of my bagged out butthole, and I couldn't help but think something was off. I then got up to check on my parents and was in disbelief that they too have been murdered. And it seemed that they have gotten their asses eaten from the back and all the way down to just piles of blood in their shoes. I had to hide their shoes because who's going to believe me? It was just a story, right? As I made my way to the shoes, in a blink of an eye, they too were missing. The following day, I was an anxiety-ridden mess, and I was fearful of being questioned where my parents were, or my sexy old vixen. Then that's when a mob of the village people came to the store and started questioning me on the whereabouts of Mrs. Titchanglo. I panicked and told them I have no idea. Then all of the people started yelling at me. "We know you slept with her just like you slept with our grandmothers, you ass-wiping pig. If you don't tell us now, we will see that you hang." I was frightened and told them, "I think the ass goblin is real and murdered them." They said that they have people right now searching my shack and my parents' house to see if I have done anything to her. I was fucked, I thought. Then what happens next you would not believe. With every slain victim, the ass goblin grew stronger and teared right out of my asshole. He was a raging monster of pure hatred and had the power to teleport in and out of buttholes. He first teleported into Mr. Titchanglo's ass and ripped his guts out from the inside and came tearing out even bigger and stronger. The people were screaming and tried swinging their pitchforks and axes at the creature. The ass goblin then forced his way into the next victim and mutilated his organs, taking over his body. One of the people then started stabbing the now possessed man, but he was just taking the hits and then grabbed that man and snapped his bones and began eating the man. The rest screamed and ran as fast as they could, being taken out one by one. I took my opportunity and ran back to my shack figuring, there's got to be a way of defeating this horrible monster. I made it to my shack and remembered a part of the old tale. To be ridden of the ass goblin, one must find his stash of shoes and burn them. I looked and still to no avail. I couldn't find them. I then remembered where he first lived before all of this mess has happened. He lived in my ass. I should have listened and never wiped my ass, I yelled in anger. I then knew what I had to do to save my village. It all made sense why my stomach was still twisting and turning. The shoes were in my ass. I knew I would die if I had to cut myself open to burn the shoes, and even if I tried, I would most likely bleed out before I could ever get a fire going. That leaves me with only one option. So I banged another old lady before going out like a boss, and told her a man has to do what a man does, and lit myself on fire and died like a legend. I guess that part of the story was just added on as a goof, and I killed myself for nothing. And the ass goblin continued his massacre and wiped out the whole town, and just built a new sick collection of shoes anyways. That fucking legend. The end. If you guys want to hear more, follow Shoeman1000 on TikTok, or subscribe to my YouTube channel, Shoeman1000. Stay deadly.